Welcome to the EUphoria podcast, episode 3 of season 2. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Drakos. Depoortere is once again absent this week, but he will be back for the next episode if you are missing him. It is now a video podcast. You can see me now if you're on YouTube. Otherwise, we're on iTunes and SoundCloud or wherever you get your podcast just about. Of course, updates since we were last here. The set is steadily growing. You can see Amazing's picture out of the wall as well as a Belgian flag in honor of one of our soon-to-be guests. Standings have been updated. Power rankings have not. I think we're going to tackle that one once we get back from Rift Rivals, as it's going to change pretty drastically. You can see Splyce there at the top. And there's a final update on our bet. So Maurice did lose in the bet last week with Vedius, predicting that Sjokz would beat G2, which means he does owe us a Volibear dance. Hasn't followed through yet. Has bailed twice on me now. So if you see him on Twitter posting anything, feel free to respond with a cheeky, "Where's my Volibear dance? Where's my bet at?" Amazing. Harass Maurice, that's the most important thing. Of course, our guests for today are Sjokz and Odoamne. We're gonna be looking at some overhyped and underrated players. We're gonna be talking a little bit about Splyce. I mean, we're inevitably gonna talk about the World Cup a little bit too, because Sjokz is here and she's excited about Belgium. So without further ado, Sjokz, Odoamne, welcome to the set, come on in.
This is awesome.
I know.
It's very cool.
It's an experience, right?
Can I shake your hand?
Yeah. Oh, ooh, is this we're gonna do a Leno style? Hey, welcome to the show. Hey, good to have you. Yeah, nice.
Thank you for shaking my hand.
Yes, nice, good stuff.
I'm all for, so I wouldn't expect that from you. You're way to come.
No, I gotta give you. You're a player. You're equal. I don't see you as an 04 player.
The 04 doesn't matter.
I still remember. Ooh,
I'm still number 1 in your heart.
Of course, darling. Of course.
And at number 2 in the.
And you're also rated A tier in our preseason power rankings, which we will talk about later. Joy, oh joy! Of course, 10th place by technicality of spelling, tied for 9th, I guess, with H2K. So first off, Sjokz, you're back from Belgium. How was your week away from the EU LCS?
Well, it was only 3 days. I was with
3 days, not a week.
Yeah, I didn't miss the show, but Belgium was really worth. Got to see some family, got to see Belgium win, got to drink some beer, have some chocolate. Everything, perfect Belgium experience.
Perfect
basically.
Weekend.
Yeah, it was great.
Not so perfect for you, Odo, with the O2 this weekend, I know. But I don't want to dwell on it. Just tell me, what do you do on your days off, Odo? Talk to me like, what was it a fun, like, ooh, let's go shed all this baggage from losing?
I mean, sometimes when it's not as drastic that we lose 2 weeks in a row, that happens, but it was kind of, we were collectively wailing together. So we were just sitting there and being miserable with our lives, and yeah, it was great.
Sounds like a wholesome, fun-filled weekend.
No, it was great, Sjokz. We had tons of fun. We loved being 04 on our day off.
Oh, perfect, fantastic. I do have one question. So last time you were on the show, you and Soas were here, and you were talking about like you really wanted more stuff in your room. You wanted it to feel more like home. I want an update there because, so for context, the last time we were here, Odo was like, I don't have anything in my room. Like, Splyce should take us to IKEA. We should pimp our room out.
Wait, no bed, no closet,
They said they have basics.
Basic
right?
necessities.
But I want to know, if you upgrade it, do you have like some sweet band posters? Like, talk to me about the room status update. Does it feel more like home, or are you still like, oh my God, why am I in a gaming house?
It's kind of the same. I mean, my room back home in Romania is like pimped out of its mind. So.
What posters do you have? What bands or which stars or TV stars?
I'm not really with bands and stuff, but I recently went to this, what was it? It was like 10 years of Kill la Kill, and I got like a huge ass poster and it was insane. So I'm looking to hang that on my wall soon, but other than that, I wasn't really,
No footballers, no swimmers?
I mean, I used to be into swimming a lot and have, I didn't really have posters, but I had people I looked up to a lot, but I didn't really have this, normal childhood in the sense that I had a lot of time to pimp my room and stuff. I was mostly focused back then on like my swimming, and now with league and stuff, I didn't really have this time to, I'm not really the kind of guy that just expresses stuff and puts posters in his room and stuff.
That's fair. Interesting to hear. I was kind of hoping that there would be more, that you had like totally decked it out, that there'd be like a nice bear rug or something.
Hotel,
fake
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, especially with the 04, I think I deserve some Tokyo Hotel in my life. So.
Oh, now that's emo.
Some emotional evenings sitting in bed.
Great.
Yeah.
I do want to point out though, you brought a gift for the show. We started asking players to do that. Odo, you're the first person to do it. So you brought us a sapling, and I just want to read.
Let me do it.
You want to read the message that you wrote here?
This is from right next to my heart for all the people out there. So it's like, for all the tanks out there, this Maokai sapling is dedicated to you. And also, as a little extra for the co-host that is missing today, screw you, Linga. And this is it, the Maokai sapling right here in our hearts.
I had to ask you about that because he sent out a tweet with, EUphoria podcast questions for Odoamne and Sjokz, and then you were like, when did you guys change from having like fielded star players
what was
to
this?
losers?
You're so...
Are you calling us losers? I mean, present company excluded, but we're definitely doing well.
We're doing good.
I mean,
we're not 0-4 in the LCS right now.
Yeah, but I mean, you're part of the podcast and you're part of the,
the show.
crew.
So you're calling yourself a loser?
Kinda, yeah.
Oh.
That's rough, dude.
That's rough.
I mean, it's kind of true, no?
It's
I lost
only
4 games in a row.
temporary. Yes, but you lost many last split and you almost ended up winning. You know, you're going to Rift Rivals. It's
I
great.
mean, not in a row.
I do love the make you feel better effort. It's like, you spent a lot of your career losing. This shouldn't be a big
But you always
deal.
did really well in the end, you know.
Perennial third place player. All right. We appreciate the sapling. I'll put it back on the shelf. Plus the signature, which I did miss at the time. But we'll add it to the various gifts and bet photos. Speaking of which, I hope you noticed that your picture in a dog suit is in the background.
That's a fetish right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess for some people,
I mean, for him, like, look at him. He's so happy. I've never seen him smile this much.
It was a good day.
You were really enjoying it.
Day.
You were
overly
enjoying
just out
it.
me as a furry on this podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. me and the fish are kind of satisfying your fetishes. Yeah. Let's not talk about that anymore.
Wow.
Odoamne, I forgot how grossly inappropriate you can be on demand, and I appreciate that.
And I still can't believe you guys censored my my jokes from last time. Do you remember?
Yes, they were bad, dude.
They were insane, man. The first censor was insane, but you guys were really butthurt about it.
It was. I'm not even gonna go into it.
You laughed so much. Come on, you loved it.
We did, and if you want to go back and listen to that, it's episode 8 or episode 9 of season 1. But we're not gonna go.
But that beef was awkwardly long, so it was good. You know, when it's too long, it's good. I didn't mean to make it sound like that, but whatever.
Okay, our first segment is Overhyped, Underrated. Today we're going to be talking about Overhyped, Underrated players.
Oh, that's me right now.
Okay, well, you're going to get a chance to go, so I figure I'll go first since it's been a while since we've done one of these segments. So the gist is, you pick a player, you talk about why they're overhyped or underrated, you make an argument, preferably a concise one, and we talk about it, right? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Is this person full of shit? That kind of thing. So in the spirit of it this week, I think one player that is not getting nearly enough attention right now is Unicorns of Love support Totoro. He solo killed or 2v2 killed your support, Mr. Kasing there on the fiddlesticks, not respecting the pike. I think he showed up, he had a huge impact, and he's this guy generally that was under the radar. He did towards the end of last season when Unicorns of Love were starting to win, people gave him a little bit of attention, but I think he's just generally not appreciated because the only thing people look at in Unicorns of Love right now is Cold and Exile, and I think that he really helps with that. I think he always ganks mid. He looks good overall. And I think he's a player that generally deserves more hype.
Is he a big part why they went 2-0, according to you?
I would say that, especially in the Splyce win, that he was a big part. I think that the pike play specifically really helped out the team overall. And generally, the 2v2 kill aside, once he did have an advantage in lane, regardless if he should have got that first kill or not, he went mid consistently. And I think when you're Unicorns of Love, the more people you can put mid around Exile, the better your team is going to look, you know, to stop him from the 10-0-0-10 meme, which is definitely justified. Odo, you played against him. You had to deal with him roaming all the time. What did it feel like to you?
I mean, he was a big part of their win condition because that's just their whole play style right now. Even when we scouted them, we kind of knew what was going to happen, but we didn't really do much about it. Yeah, it's just the whole way they're playing with their both side prio, and they just abandoned bot lane, like they abandoned Samux to just farm and keep Totoro roaming with Cold. So it was really hard to play because they had full control over our bot side once they got rolling from bot lane, and at one point he was just with Cold 24/7, so we couldn't really walk into river or anything just because they always had numbers. They could always just pretty much murder us when we walk into river. So I think it's kind of justified to say that he's really underrated. I think he was quite bad, when he first came to EU, but after some time now, I think he has this different playstyle than other supports. He's roaming a lot, but I feel like he gets so much pressure with his roams.
That's what it looks like to me. Good to hear that I'm not the only person. Because you totally could have come out and give me a bunch of stuff that I hadn't thought of, and that's always my fear when I call a player overrated.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't have been fun for the podcast, no?
Yeah.
Because you just sit there and be like, hyperventilating and be like, oh, what's going on? What did I do?
Also, Totoro and like is not really someone. He's like a happy guy. He's like, I don't know.
He's
chill. Doing well. You don't want to. It's not someone you want. He has like a flame face. You know what I mean? Like that you want to. Like, not that anyone does particularly.
It's not like when Gilius does poorly.
Yeah, you're like oh my
everyone
God.
wants to jump on that train.
But that's not because of his face. It's just because
it has nothing to do with his face.
But you know what I mean? Like the whole Totoro, just looks like sweet guy.
He's adorable. It's hard. It's like even if Han Sama was like talking mad shit, like, oh look at Han Sama, how can you flame him?
Yeah.
But I love it when Gilius flame backfires. Like everyone is waiting for the moment where Gilius flame backfires, so everyone just jumps on him.
But I love that Gilius commits though.
Yeah, I love Gilius. Like he's really funny, and he kind of has this a bit of like persona, you know, for the Twitter bans and stuff, and that's really cool because outside of the game, he's a sweetheart. But I don't know, I love it. Like he commits so hard to the trash talk, and even when it backfires, the fact that he deletes his tweets and stuff is just so funny. Like I love it.
I think it's good for EULCS though to have someone who talks more trash. Because here's the question: when you play against Gilius after he's been talking trash, are you more excited for that game?
I mean, not really, because I kind of got used to it, and I know it's part of the show. But in the back of my mind is always like, if I win, he's gonna delete his tweets. So I really want for him to like delete his tweets and stuff because it's just so funny.
Can you guys? I missed sort of this, but Maxlor had this tweet that he apologized because he tweeted about Joko when they beat them, and then he was kind of feeling guilty. But I didn't think it was that bad. Like I read the tweet because I had missed some of the context of the game, and I just figured, oh, Misfits probably beat Giants, and then Maxlor tweeted something like, "Chat. Get banged," you know what I mean? And then he apologized for it later. So I don't know, maybe the Twitterverse was getting riled up on him and was like, why are you tweeting that when I didn't think it was that bad, to be honest. And probably Joko, he flames a bit as well.
There was like a little bit of a trash talk video. I don't know, I think people were too worried, but maybe like Joko was like really down on it and he didn't want to like...
Max was just too polite.
Polite dude, I mean there's a lot
I mean he's British, so he's like
he's got to be like really polite all the time, a little bit uncomfortable about it.
He apologizes whenever he says a nasty word.
That was not the case.
That
was not the case when he was on the podcast. So Odo, I'd like you to go next. Overhyped, underrated. You can pick either or. Player to talk about.
Oh man,
who stands out to you?
Actually, you know, you talk for 5 minutes about this, and I still haven't talked about an answer on this one. So, I mean,
I have.
Who's on your list? You can short list, or we can go.
I mean, Overhyped. I can put myself because I'm just. It's the same as the last time I've been on the podcast.
Who's hyping you right now, Odo? That's my question.
I mean, no one. I mean, people expected me to be a bit better, so I guess I got hyped in that sense, but right now I'm not doing good. But okay, let's not make it as dark and just let me find out someone.
We're going to talk about you. We're going to talk about you shortly. And you can talk
so
about
I can just find someone else and
you
then
can find someone else.
Get roasted
we'll get
after.
to why you're overrated in a minute.
I mean, underrated. I mean, I don't think Bwipo is still underrated, but he's kind of doesn't get as much credit as he deserves, just for the fact that he changed so much of Fnatic's dynamic. Even though I think he, has some issues, everyone does, but I feel the fact that he came as a rookie and he's doing pretty well. He's getting really accustomed to the team, so I think he's doing great right now. And the fact that he started playing bot lane instead of Reckless, and he's pulling out, pretty much the top lane champions, and he's making them work on the AD carry role, I think it's really impressive.
Yeah, I think it's impressive too. Do you think, from what you've seen on stage so far, I know it's only 2 games, but is he a better top laner or a bot laner, do you think, from what you've seen?
I mean, I think he's better top laner for sure. It's just that AD carries right now, like these guys, when they play solo queue and they have to autofill, they're the worst. Like if you have a team of 5 autofill top laners, they're most likely going to smash the autofill AD carries, because when these people don't get AD carry, they just stroll out of their minds. So now it's kind of coming back to bite them, because now when AD carries play against the new champion, they just end and they're like, oh, well, I don't know how to play against this champion.
Is there an EULCS example of an AD carry that's particularly difficult in solo queue?
Oh, that's particularly difficult as an AD carry? No, for sure not. Oh. If these guys walk into our lane on top lane, they pretty much get murdered by everyone. That's just how it is.
I mean that they're difficult to be in a team with because they're whining if they don't get AD carry.
Oh, that's what you meant. I thought you were trying to hype someone up, but no.
Usually not the case with me. I'm usually
I do like that you've asserted your dominance. You're like, no LCS AD carry sets foot in my lane.
I mean, it's not only for me personally. Like, whenever they face any top laner from LCS, all the AD carries are gonna get murdered just because they're just walking in there and they have no clue what's going on. So, I mean, I don't really have examples. It's just because over the years, everyone whined at one point. It's not really someone excessively whined about.
Yeah.
But in general, they're like, oh, well, I don't know how to play against this, so what can I do? And then they start inting. So it's kind of, they play too cocky, you know, they think there's 6 items at minute 1 and they just walk up and try to hit you and then they get one shot. So I feel like they just don't know the matchups against bruisers and mages and stuff like that. They're just used to playing against someone that can only right-click you back. So I think that's why a lot of them have issues right now, just because they don't know matchups and they don't respect it. And it's different playing against, you know, a bruiser or a mage than an AD carry, just because the whole dynamic of the lane is different right now.
What do you think that? Sorry,
no,
I'm just
saying.
Do you think that you know that some teams are sticking to still picking AD carries, and we know it's both viable, but it really depends on your team dynamic as well as the comp you're playing against. But do you think that in general, it's people that are more confident in this part of the split as AD carries that are sticking to them, like a Hansama who's definitely on a roll, and that other people? I'm thinking of Hjarnan, for example. He wasn't really praised in the regular season for doing so well as an AD carry, although he had great playoffs. But now he's the guy that is absolutely triumphing and picking these other picks.
I mean, it might be stylistically what they prefer. They might feel more confident in the picks, in the style they're choosing. It's just the meta right now just allows you to kind of have these different styles, and that's why people are, you know, looking better at different stuff. It's not really, I don't see it as, you know, they fail to adapt or anything, but if it works for them and they feel confident on that, it's not really up to me to decide if they're right or not, you know. I just feel like you can play so much different stuff right now that anything kind of works as long as, yeah, if you're good at it. Then, like, look at Hjarnan, he's been Heimerdinger one-trick pony for, like, you know, 5 years now, and
finally pays off.
And it finally pays off
for this moment.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So back on the subject of Bwipo real quick, you talked about him kind of changing the dynamic of Fnatic. I want to know what do you mean by that from your perspective?
Just because I feel like AD carries are kind of weak right now, and the picks that he's bringing, like, you know, the, say, Irelia, Darius, or whatever he plays, Swain, all of this stuff, like Swain, Rise, like mages and bruisers in the ball lane, is just, as I said, a lot of AD carries have trouble adapting to playing against those matchups, and since he played those champions a lot of time, you know, and we're kind of the top of the food chain in the sense that, I mean, I just feel like top laners, they had to adapt so much over the years to, like, you know, lane swap meta, pretty much. We had to go through all the phases of the game, all the changes, while AD carries just sat there and had the dog next to them and farming 24/7, and then they were like, oh my god, I'm so strong and I'm so good. So it's kind of easier for us, and I don't mean this in like a cocky way or anything, to kind of adapt to, you know, new situations, just because pretty much every season and every patch, top lane gets hit a lot, not even in like solo queue, you know, but competitive wise, when lane swaps got swapped, it got changed, and we had to play through lane swaps a lot. So I think that's just like a skill set that he has, even though he might have not played in, you know, the most competitive team back then when lane swaps were happening and all of this, but it kind of just shows that experience that he can adapt to situations, and I think that's why he's doing so well right now, because it's a lot easier to play against AD carries, not as, you know, as a player, but against the champions of AD carries.
What I found really interesting also is that we had this video in ELCS, I think it may have been week 1, where he talked about, oh, for me, it used to be I came in to Fnatic and I came in and I wanted to learn from SOAS, and I would be there and play a couple of games or whatever, but it wouldn't be that I take the main seat immediately. And he was talking about how now, you know, I'm not going to go out there and not give it my all because I don't want to be the number 2. I want to be there and play, and how this dynamic between him and SOAS and just in the team had changed. Can you imagine you're a veteran, right? And you've won a lot. You've just been there at the main stage for such a long time. How would you deal with this dynamic of someone first being brought in and then at the end really getting a lot of play time, in the end winning the championship kind of without you? How do you think you'd deal?
I mean, it's kind of like two sides of a coin. I wouldn't really say like disappointed or hurt or anything. I would be sad in a way, because I'm kind of, SOAS is not really getting slowly replaced, but the fact that Bwipo was getting more time just makes SOAS feel, you know, less valuable to the team, and I'll probably
like he's getting replaced when maybe he isn't.
Yeah, right? Like I would feel less valuable to the team as well. But on the other side, for a veteran like me, I think I would feel good in the sense that at times I get kind of too, you know, full of myself, or I feel too like overconfident, or, you know, I feel like
can touch you.
Yeah, I feel like I deserve my spot and I should be here and I'm irreplaceable. But sometimes, like a wake-up call like that is really good because at times I'm, not really struggling, but I'm a bit demotivated with things, and that kind of, stops my growth. So I would probably be really angry, maybe, if someone comes in and like starts getting more playtime than me. But in the end, I think it would be probably better just because that's gonna, spark a fire again for me to kind of pick up my shit and get better,
Yeah, and for right now, it's not really a conflict of interest because both of them get to play, and we'll see if Reckless comes back into the picture.
Sorry for interrupting.
Right now it's perfect.
It's just like when you're a kid and you're new on the scene, you improve a lot, And at one point, you don't get lazy or complacent, but inevitably your kind of growth stops. Yeah. So I think something like this is kind of necessary for everyone at one point.
Makes a lot of sense, and I'm curious to see how that dynamic continues to grow. Sjokz, I want to hit you. Overhyped, underrated? Are you gonna mix it up? You're gonna give us someone who's overhyped?
No, it's really difficult to think of someone overhyped because I feel like it's about to be week 3, and it's hard because I feel the people who are hyped are clearly hyped, and they're also in the #1 team. So there's really not someone who's, I think, in between. So I'm gonna have to go for underrated, and this might be maybe a cop-out or whatever, but I think Sjokz is still a bit underrated.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I only say that because he got so much in the past, like last split and before, and even I think on Splyce in the end, because he was never, he was never a Perks, he was never a Caps, he was never that guy, or definitely not for a longer period of time.
I mean, and to be fair, as someone who criticized him a lot, Sjokz was really bad for a long time. Sjokz was like the mouse. I mean, if you want to call someone a dog, Sjokz was the Malzahar dog. Like he walked around the mask. He was behind in CS most of the game. When his champions were good, the Aurelion Sol, the Malzahar, he did good. And when they weren't, he looked really bad.
Really bad.
The thing that blew my mind this week, and why I'm willing to jump on this train, the Yasuo. Let's talk about this boy who I thought was just like, okay, Aurelion Sol, not the most mechanical champion, like pretty simple, slow and steady, not crazy. And then he pulls out the Yasuo and busts it. And
crazy.
So for me, Sjokz is.
Well, I think because we talk about Hansama so much, right? We talk about, and I think we should because Hansama is killing it, Maxlor's killing it, that whole team is doing great. But I think he just deserves credit, and maybe we'll have to revise that in a couple of weeks. But I hope this is kind of the click that Sjokz needed. And you say it, right? He's not just in the mid lane with an Aurelion Sol. He's picking Aurelia, he's picking Yasuo, he's up in those side lanes. He's taking the 1v1s, and I felt like mentally, he was more aggressive in a way and just more confident, it felt like, in taking the trades, especially on the Yasuo.
Yeah.
So I think that's a positive evolution. I mean, he should get some credit for that.
That looks good. I'm curious, Odo, you played against them. That was his Aurelia game. Did you, when you looked at Misfits, like let's say last season compared to this season, is it a lot harder to prep now knowing that Sjokz is doing so well versus last season when he was kind of just a role player, wasn't doing a whole lot?
I mean, I guess in a sense because last season and even when he was on Splyce, he wasn't really like, this big threat, so you didn't really need to put a lot of attention to, prepping for a good mid lane matchup or something like that, just because I feel like the meta for him wasn't the best. Like his champions, the meta kind of shifts away from his champions, and I feel like now it's kind of shifting back to something that he's comfortable on. So I wouldn't say that he was like, a big threat, but I feel like now he's definitely, I don't want to sound mean, but he's not invisible. Like now he's actually doing stuff, so he's actually doing good for his team, and he kind of like surprised me as well. For so far this split, I think he's doing really good in the way he plays his champions. I feel like these are his like comfort champs right now, so I feel like he's pulling out good numbers on them.
I mean, definitely. Just in your game alone, he was, 8-2-8 on Aurelia. He was popping off. Got the 4th item.
Did you ever have him on Euphoria?
Cheeky BT. No, we didn't. We talked about having him on, and I would like to get him on in the future because he's a good talker and he's an interesting dude. But had Maxlor on first because we were like, Maxlor, let's do it. Set some stakes for Misfits.
Yep.
He said that they were the Joker on our tier list. We told him he couldn't be a Joker, so he put them, let me check, B tier. They're doing good now.
I'm surprised, because I actually had Splyce as the outside, because I did a lot of interviews before the start of the split with some media, and they always ask, who's like, is it going to be Fnatic G2 again? And I said, well, I actually think Splyce, and it can still happen, but I felt like because at the end of the split, you guys were on such a roll team, like you'd finally found your form, Niski was killing it, and then like you lost it all into the split, but I feel like it's something that should get built up again.
And to be fair, if you call them a dark horse, they're definitely more of a dark horse now to win the split at 0-4 than they were before. So let's do it. Let's jump over. Let's talk a little bit about Splyce, what's going on, how you're doing. Odo on Splyce. You guys are 0-4. We've been jumping around and we've been joking with you about it a little. Well, joking maybe at you at your expense a little bit more than joking with you.
You guys roasted me, not joked.
All right, I'll take it. I mean, roasted's good.
I sometimes wonder because we're like chilling before the show and talking and like throw a couple of shots left, right, and center. But I don't know if the viewers are like, oh my god, like Drakos and Sjokz are absolutely crazy.
How dare you?
How dare you?
This
Like,
poor
what are you
boy.
saying?
He's just sitting in his corner. Poor
Canadian
boy. He's so innocent. He's so young. How can they just beat up on him like that?
It's not, I can be the guest now. I can do it.
Yeah, you're doing good. But
actually, now we're equals. We can just chat.
Yeah, you can, whatever you want, man. Throw it at me. Go ahead.
Go. So, Odo, we've been dancing around it most of the episode, but let's talk about what's actually going wrong on your team right now. You're 0-4. You're tied for 9th place.
Lovely.
Lovely. If H2K gets a win, you'll be the sole possession of 10th.
Because we play them first game of next week. This is the battle for 10th.
We knew that.
We were ready for that. Yeah, we're totally prepared for that. That's hype. That makes that game more exciting.
That's a real grudge match. Battle for 10th. Who's going to be last?
Odoamne's former team. Bad blood.
Actually, time to figure out, I guess, if I made a good decision or not. If I'm 10th or 9th. An advancement in my career.
Okay, let's. But what's actually going wrong? Like, what do you think is the issue right now for you guys on stage? How are scrims going? Did you? I guess let's start with this. Did you expect to be 0-4 based on what you had coming into the season?
I guess when you look at it in the big picture, I didn't really expect to be 0-4. But I mean, it might not be a good excuse, but I think our schedule so far has been pretty rough, just because I feel like we played the top 3 teams, plus you all.
Plus you all. Yeah, G2, so you guys have played Vitality first, and G2, Misfits, and
yeah, and I feel like Vitality, G2, and Misfits, at least until this week, were the best 3 performing teams. Well, Vitality kind of dropped the ball this week.
Yeah.
But it was rough just because we're not really, I feel like, a team right now that can adapt to, cheese super fast. And I don't think what Vitality did was cheese, but I think our side of the scrim bracket, the teams we scrimmed, we kind of like, developed our own meta, while Vitality's bracket developed like a different one. And in our side of the scrims, the meta was, no Heimerdinger, not really major spot that much and all of this stuff. So when we went into that week against G2 and Vitality, we weren't really like prepared for like, all these major spot, and we kind of got destroyed just because they got both prior so easily, and they just kind of snowballed the game super hard. So I think that's the reason why week 1 was so bad. And week 2, I think the Misfits game, we kind of just lost super hard mid 2v2, and it just snowballed from there. But I think they didn't really do much to close out that game, just because they had such huge leads and they weren't really like that proactive. And I think you all stylistically were just awful against, just because we have issues, changing our playstyle to match theirs and the roaming support and all of that's happening. And yeah, I think with the schedule, we kind of got the 4 worst teams to play against. And I think if we, the following week, since we have I think matchups that are good for us, we don't go like, 2-0, 4-0, or 6-0 and stuff like this, and we keep losing and stuff, then I think that's going to be,
When's it breaking point? It's 0-4 now. What is like we're really in trouble? Because I do agree with you that the strength of schedule, especially in the beginning of a split, especially with the meta as it is it's not an excuse, but I think you are right in that point. But if you go again 0-2 this week, is that then all hands on deck?
Yeah, pretty much. I feel like not even if we go 0-2, but I think if we don't have a 2-0 week this week and we go 1-1, and then at that point we're 1-5, I think that's a huge alarm bell for us. I think we can't really afford to go 1-1 this week, just because, as I said, I think we have good matchups coming in for us, and I think all the teams that right now are like 3-1, 2-2, they didn't really get to face G2, Misfits, and all of this, so that's at the point where they will probably start getting some losses, and we just kind of need to take advantage of that and pick up our wins against the what we consider the weaker teams, at least.
Do you think the time in between the end of the split and now is what made you lose kind of the progress you made that you showed in the playoffs, or is it the meta?
I don't think we lost progress that much. I think the mistakes that we had last split kind of got fixed, and now we're kind of tackling bigger issues. I just think the first week was just we couldn't really do much, because that's just the scrim bracket we had. So when you develop a scrim meta like that, and imagine we were on the other side of the bracket, you know, if we knew about the mages and all of this. Yeah, like the games might have been different, but when you play with, you know, double support, and the thing is our scrim, our side of the bracket of the scrim meta was just the funnel comp with, you know, supports bot and all of this stuff, and G2 kind of played something like that, but they played it different where they don't AFK farm as much, and the teams that we all played, they were just AFK farming, you know, so they kind of surprised us with that, you know, so it was just really hard to adapt, but I think we picked up the ball for second week, but didn't really go that well.
Kick it over the line now.
So my question is, last split, you guys had a lot of struggles too at the start of the season. It wasn't 0-4 bad, but it was similar things where the team felt like it was learning a lot of it, and you were just playing those scaling comps. You were perpetually the Maokai player and these Kabi comps, right? So what's different this time in terms of growth? Do you feel like the team is better now than that point? What changes between this underperformance and the underperformance you had at the start of spring?
I mean, I think we're better. Imagine last split coming in, with our, you know, zero synergy and stuff, we get to play G2, Fnatic, Vitality, and Misfits, and we would probably go 0-4 again, and we would exactly have a copy of like this. But the scheduling, like last split, was we had, you know, a really good team and a team that was kind of our level. For example, we had something like Fnatic and UOL in the first week, and UOL was kind of like a fight to the death where no one won, but we
we need to schedule it so you guys have really easy matchups in the beginning of the split, and then
I mean,
it happens 2 times in a row.
I mean, to be fair, Splyce is like, as a team and an org, always does bad at the start of the split. Like historically, I don't think they've ever had a good start to the split.
You have really bad goal difference. Also, it's like you lose, and you lose really hard in the early game. And it does, I think it's kind of a testament to the fact that you guys are able to develop, because it's a clear developing line, like the whole game. It's just like, I don't know, I'm a bit sad because I want you guys to do well. I think you have great qualities. I think you really found your form, and I think you have to aspire to play a final and definitely make it to Worlds. I think that's that would be an absolute failure if you don't make it.
Yeah, I mean, I missed Worlds last year, and I really wanted to go, you know, Worlds every year of my career. So I'm really sad about that, and if I don't make it this year, it's gonna be even worse. But I think, I think we're progressing. I think every week of scrims we kind of get better, and it's just this. I don't want to sound like this guy that just blames it on schedule, but I mean, now it's up to us to kind of back the statement up, you know, and pick up wins against.
So
you know,
2-0 week or bust. That's what we heard.
Yeah, pretty much.
H2K Rockcat. So you're right. That may be a good time to get a 2-0
They're
week.
both tricky though. They can be really.
I mean, Rockcat's 2-2. H2K is down there in the bottom. So fight at the bottom of the bracket on Friday there.
A dogfight.
Yes.
So I'm curious about that. Speaking of dogs, you haven't had to play only tanks. Well, actually, it looks like pretty much only tanks just about this time. You got one Aatrox game.
Which I was kind of spectating that game.
Yeah, a little bit. So actually, so interestingly, I want to talk to you about your role in the team right now, because one of the things, you did an interview with the Players Lobby, or you wrote an article actually with the Players Lobby, talking about kind of like your sense of fulfillment and like satisfaction in your career. And one of the things you talked about was new patches and like this like hunger to learn new patches. And so when I read that, now I look at your team performance where you guys are like really struggling to adapt. Do you still feel like you have that? Like when you see a new patch, when there's a new top lane meta, that you're the kind of guy that like wants to dive in, wants to learn absolutely everything about this top lane meta, and that's like a really exciting thing for you?
I mean, it still is, you know, even if all the new champions I learn, we don't pull them off in scrims on stage, I still kind of get this, you know, sense of satisfaction that I get to learn them. I think this patch has a lot of new top lane champs that most of them are kind of like niche picks that only work into 1 or 2 picks, so you don't really get to pick them that freely. It's just that this meta is kind of like blind pick stop a lot. That's why, you know, randomly blue or purple side just locks in Mundo, you know, because it's just in this meta, you can't really afford. You need to kind of counter pick or flex as much as you can. So if you don't pick something that counter picks, or you have like flex on 3 positions, then it's kind of bad. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we pull out like new less tanks in the top lane, because whenever we lost in LCS and I played Ornn and stuff like that, or Mundo, it's kind of disappointing, you know, because it's like, it looks really bad because your team is losing, so the tank can't really do anything, so he looks awful. But if you're winning, then the tank looks insane, you know, because he just can't die. So like that's why, you know, tanks on winning teams have like KDA of 20, and on losing teams they have like -3 or whatever. Because it's just like that. You don't really have the ability to influence, as a tank, unless the game is 50-50. If like the game is even, then you can team fight well and all of this stuff. And if you're slightly behind, but if you get smashed like we did, then I can't really get to do much on tanks, especially because most of the games, by the time I get out of laning phase, then the game is already kind of over.
And so I mentioned earlier before we went live that I had some fun facts for you. But so we always say that top lane is an island and people are left alone. So Odo, are you familiar with how jungle proximity works? So
yeah.
3 to 15 minutes within 2,000 range. You had 0% jungle proximity this week.
Really?
Both of your games.
That's lovely.
And let's be clear here, jungle proximity is like an almost perfect stat, but it has a couple issues. Literally, if Xerxes is near you when he's doing Krugs as you walk back to lane, you will get jungle proximity. If he walks near your corpse when you are dead, he will get jungle proximity. So getting 0 is actually very hard. This man avoided your lane like the plague.
Is there something you want to tell us? Or are you not getting along? Like, what's going on?
Now, we've on broadcast once or twice, maybe over-tried to talk about how you guys are like Romanians together. The duo.
Yeah, the duo.
It's great.
Brothers.
Is the duo dead? Like, is this a plan to leave you completely alone and isolated on the top lane, or is that just
unnecessary?
Is it just
right
the
now
nature
to go to
of the meta?
lane,
What's going on?
I mean, I think that's just our choice to how we want to.
0.
I'm just gonna,
another perspective. 5 games in your entire career in the LCS, so 5 out of 252 games you've played with 0 jungle proximity. Over your entire career, 2 of them were this week.
Did something happen?
I don't know, man. I just feel like that was kind of what our plan was, for this week, to just play through bot or mid. But yeah, I don't really get.
That's your plan for this year? Well, I'm surprised because to have a plan for a year, 1 sounds a bit extreme. 2, you were complaining in spring already that you couldn't.
Because I remember, because we talked after week 4 when you guys were winning with these horrendously boring for you as a top laner team fight comps where you play Maokai every game, and you finally were freed from dog duty. You got a TF mid, you got to play Camille top. Is this just the way that you guys have to play now, where you're permanently a tank?
I mean,
you just look so. I'm sorry, man. I know this is tough. I know you want to be free
I don't want
badly.
to of course you guys have a plan, but
that's kind of in screens it works better than that. It's just in the past I played with little to no jungle help, and I'm fine with it. But it just kind of feels bad, man, when you get no jungle help. And the thing is, I feel like I can do a lot if I get my share of jungle help, and we do some invades or play around top side a bit, or I get to play some carries. The thing that saddens me the most is that 0 jungle proximity game was when I actually played Aatrox and the champion is really busted, and I was just, spectating that game. I was just sitting and pushing a wave and looking at the map.
Well, that's a lane where you're against a Mundo, and if you get 1 gank, you just instantly take over.
Yeah, pretty much. You can dive him, you can make plays, you can influence the map.
And to be fair to Xerxes, a lot was going wrong that game. That was the game where your bot lane got 2v2 killed, right, and taken down. But still brutal to get. Yes, bless you, Sjokz.
Bless you, Sjokz.
Wasn't gonna comment on it. All right, fine.
Okay.
Do you want to? Is there anything else? Should we?
No.
You stop? You good?
Let's go ahead.
Need a tissue?
Just need to
anything
sneeze.
else?
No.
Okay, fine. So I mean, I understand why he wouldn't pay attention to top, but it is interesting that it's so clear.
If I can interject, I saw an Ornn solo killing a Mundo. It is possible. What game was that?
That was Vizicsacsi
killing Wonder?
That was the
Wonder
game.
killing.
No. Was it?
Wonder killing Vizicsacsi.
Oh.
And that was the game where low-key Vizicsacsi inted.
He really
What's up with
he
that?
ran it down.
Why is,
So we talked to him about that afterwards, and he said he just wasn't super comfortable in the matchup, and that showed. Because the next day he smashed lane, right? The match versus Wonder, he got smashed in that, so it seems like he just wasn't as comfortable in the matchup, and he acknowledged that the second he didn't flash, he was dead.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
that must feel bad, man, because he's a really good player, right?
Yeah, well, and that's, I mean, for Schalke especially, just to go on a sidetrack, that sucked because they had a good game plan, and then when individual members collapse completely, the game plan kind of goes.
I mean, that's just kind of his problem because he's stylistically a really aggressive player, and that matchup is just you can't win. No matter how good you play in Mundo against Ornn, you can't win. All you have to do is just farm and wait for laning phase to end, and you just farm jungle counts 24/7, and you just run around the map and throw some cleavers.
And it goes against his nature, probably.
Yeah. So
no, I'm going to take this trade.
Legit, you can't walk up to trade with Ornn. You just have to sit max range and throw Q for 20 minutes until you get out of lane. That's just how it goes, and you pray for team fights. So, yeah, the fact that he tried to trade is just kind of why he died.
This was a silent protest against the top laners. Yeah.
Against dog champs. To continue on the subject of your team, how is team morale? Because I know you were disheartened. We mentioned this already at Spring. You don't sound super great right now. You're joking and you're laughing. I'm glad you're having a good time. But like, are you guys confident you can turn this around? How is it from like a mental standpoint?
This is a depressing podcast, by the way. Like, it's so
I feel like whenever I'm on the podcast,
Odo.
it gets But okay, in my defense, you guys always call me when I am inting or my team is inting.
Well, I mean, it just happens pretty often. Like, it's not.
True. We could. I want to clip that face and just have that as like an emote.
He's
forever.
really good at that. I mean, I usually don't feel bad about like.
I mean, you guys
some flame.
you guys crushed it in playoffs. We'll get you in playoffs when you guys are on the up and up this time. I promise we will have a happy BS Odo podcast where we get to talk about you.
They'll get you if Reckless and Perks aren't available. They'll be like, Odo, do you want to come? Because we have. No. I'm just flaming them.
Oh, okay, that's perfectly fine, I guess.
Yes. Okay.
Just kidding.
Talk to me about team morale. So, like, is the team feeling good? Or are you guys worried? How is it?
I mean, as I said, we were kind of collectively wailing, and well, not really wailing. There wasn't like any sound. We were like, crying out loud. But we were really, we didn't expect 0-4, and yeah, I mean, everyone kind of knows that the schedule was bad, and we can't really afford to just mentally FF, because it's kind of summer split and we need to kind of pick up the ball. And if we decide to just FF like this, then this whole split and year is just doomed for all of us. So I'm sorry I had to laugh, but
there was a fly on my face.
Oh, okay. I thought you were laughing.
I just saw his face, so I couldn't hold myself. But I mean, it's better already, just because. I mean, everyone wants to. We want to get out of this hole, because we kind of dug it our own, and I think we're gonna manage to pick it up again and have a good week. But yeah, I mean, morale isn't too bad. It was really bad after we lost because we couldn't believe that we're 0-4.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Splyce fans though want to hear that you're like rallying. You can turn it around. This is the week where you're gonna go 2-0. I like that. I like to hear that. The other thing that you guys have on the agenda coming up. Rift Rivals.
Oh yeah. Damn.
As the number 3 team, and I think that's the number one thing I see mentioned in your post-match threads by people who are concerned is like, Splyce at Rift Rivals, what's going to happen? So from your perspective, I know the team is struggling right now. Do you guys feel like you can take down some of these NA teams?
I mean,
what is it again? Sorry, so it's
Rift Rivals is 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, and Echo Fox.
Echo Fox.
Boom, playing against Broly.
Yeah.
Yes,
so actually,
nice.
we'll just get a Twitter question in here because someone asked this question verbatim, and I don't want to steal it for them. So for Odo, are you, Jankos, and Kasing excited to be reunited with Prawley and Ryu at Rift Rivals? And are you ready to show them that EU is greater than an A?
Yeah, like when we qualified for Rift Rivals, that was one of the biggest reasons I was so excited. Not really. I mean, I love competing internationally and stuff, but getting to play against Broly and his team is kind of feels good, man. Because yeah, like I think Jankos as well and me and Kasing, we really wanna just
smash him,
smash his team and put him on the ground for just leaving us. And I think we can. I think even at previous Rift Rivals when P1 came to EU and they were like 9th in LCS, kind of the same as us right now, and they kind of like kicked the ass of some EU teams, and I think we're not as bad as our standings are right now. Like scrims are going well, and I think these teams were just way better than us. But I think once we get there, obviously I didn't really scout them that much, the NA teams, but stylistically they might be okay for us. So I don't think we're like that bad that we just FF every early game and we get like stomped like that. But I think standings won't really matter. I think it's just if we manage to get into good form for it, we should be fine.
All right, most excited for the 100 Thieves matchup. You said you haven't looked at them too much, but do you feel, is EU looking better than last Rift Rivals?
So hard to say, because we were so confident. Fnatic was insanely hyped, right? They were going to smash everyone. And then, in EU, I remember we were like, oh, the cannon, it's working here, but it might come to an end, and then it just got completely exposed. Is there, like, you can't get exposed, you can only do better, which I think this might be really good for you guys, because this could be, if
you're going to be like,
even if you go 0-2, even if you go 0-2 this week, which I don't think you will, if you go there and if you put on a good performance, that'll be insane. That'll be such an uplift. All the community will be happy, and that's
everyone's gonna be like rank 10 EU better than rank whatever.
It's all planned. This is it. They just want to go there as a 10th place team and like absolutely smash the NALCS.
Yeah, so the NA fanboys just dig their hole and hide them.
They cry.
They cry. They cry.
You're going to be the dark horse. You're going to be the 9th place team at Rift Rivals.
We're going to be the P1.
You're going to be the P1. You're going to be the Mike Young of this tournament there. Show up, play carries every game, stomp people.
Maybe I'm off my tank duty.
Ooh, that would be exciting.
But will EU win Rift Rivals?
Wait, there's a winner?
Yeah.
Yeah, EU will win. EU win.
Oh, yeah, EU
is a winner. Why do you think
you're
going? Is this a scrim tournament? No, they're going to get a winner.
You got to go, man. This is going to be exciting.
And they won last year, so anyway.
Yeah. We need to win this year, especially on NA's home turf.
Yeah.
Hit them with the disrespect. And I'm sure, because the thing is, on broadcast after this stuff, last year NA got to dance in like Canada and America suits. We're going to have to get you like a Belgium suit.
Perfect.
I don't know what I'm going to wear because I'm like a traitor, so we're going to need to find something special.
Actually, on that one, because we're in NA. Because one of my biggest regrets was the fact that we didn't get to play C9 when I was at Worlds and just murder them in NA. So I guess it's time to do it. At this Rift Rivals.
No C9, Ripperoo, but you can murder.
But some other NA teams, so that's fine.
Yeah, Echo Fox. You can take out Huni and get some long-term vengeance for Europe.
I mean, Huni is a really fun matchup because I always felt like I was doing really well against them, but then his dog would show up in the lane every 30 seconds, and then I didn't really have a shot,
Now he and his new dog, who they call Dardock. Sorry, Dardock.
Dardock.
Actually,
they swapped sometimes. So you
actually,
could play Dardock.
I might play against Adrian Top or something like that. That would be really disappointing. I would feel bad.
Maybe even if you lose, you can take cute pictures with puppies, apparently. Because the new player pictures of NALCS, they have like a sales dog, I think. It's like the cutest dog you've ever seen.
But they, for some reason, have the dog.
Well, it's like, sometimes I'm like, oh, NA, what are you doing? And then I'm like, that's such a good idea.
NA, what are you doing? Okay, look over there.
Cute animals.
Yeah, look at those cute animals.
We do have cute animals.
Look at those puppies.
Perfect.
Okay, so I do want to round out the Splyce discussion. Let's talk a little bit about predictions. You have to play H2K Gaming and Rawcat this week. Are you predicting a 2-0 week? Are you confident in a 2-0 week? Because you said you need a 2-0 week.
Yeah.
But you believe in the 2-0 week.
I mean, I believe in the 2-0 week. As I said, if we don't go 2-0, then it's really bad for us. But I think these teams over, last split, they weren't really like a big threat to us. I feel like we matched really well against them, and I think anything else than a 2-0 is a really big failure for this week.
Agreed. Have to. Like, not agreed in terms that these teams are. I think Rawcat was great. I think H2K can definitely have their moments. We saw the turnaround they did last split, and Rawcat, Memento was an absolute monster, this weekend. So I think there's definitely more caveats than just, oh, we'll beat them because we should on paper. But yeah, I agree that you should go 2-0. This has to be the research.
I mean, if you want to be a top team, then we have to go 2-0 this week.
Both Rawcat and H2K were playoff teams in the end, right? So.
Yeah, but Rawcat got 3-0.
No, H2K,
H2K. And Rawcat was
they were both playoff teams.
Yeah, but they got 3-0 by us.
Yeah, they did.
Yes,
but okay. So talk to me about how you match up against Profit then, because that's my thing. I believe you can be H2K for sure. Rawcat not as convinced right now because while yes, their mid game looked like utter trash against Vitality and they threw a giant lead that they shouldn't have after Memento got so fed. Their late game looked good with Profit on Vladimir. So how do you feel about that matchup specifically?
I mean, I'm not really too worried. I feel like even in the the game where he was on Vladimir and he was like carrying every single fight, I feel like his play was good, but the items he was building were really, troll. Because it was like 30, 40 minutes in game and he had 200 AP on Vlad and he was 1v5ing instead of having like 600 if he went like a proper build, So I'm not really too worried about like facing him. I don't think he's like, this insane laner or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, for example, who is it? Like Wander. Like if I would play Wander, then I would probably, feel like I need to do my best, and just we're gonna have like a good game in the top lane. But I might sound cocky, and I am cocky in a way, and I feel like he's not really, this big threat.
Okay, so then if you
I mean, I'm not going to take him lightly, you know, but I don't feel like he's, you know, at the level of Wonder or someone that goes like toe-to-toe to me every game.
Are you worried at all if like he gets a pick like Vlad, which has been a signature pick for him, and you're stuck on some kind of tank, that you're not going to be able to have the same level of influence in a game that he is? So that even if, let's say, that you're the better player, you perform better, but he just gets to that point where Vladimir does more as a champion, that you're just not going to be able to have the same impact?
Yeah, that's going to be, if he gets Vlad, then yeah, I'm get stuck on stuff. Like, most of the time, tanks get outscaled against Vlad, so it's kind of up to me in, you know, early game to do stuff on my tanks. But yeah, hopefully, like, the draft for top side won't be, you know, looking too bad. So situations like that where I get outscaled and I'm irrelevant compared to him doesn't really happen.
All right. Well, I'm going to predict for Roccat. I think you're going to go 1-5. I think you're going to be H2K.
You want to be Vedius, you are.
No, I'm not. No, I don't want to be Vedius. Please don't. Please don't. This is not a diehard love for Roccat. This is me not being 100% convinced yet, and my biggest concern is that we'll have
that's fair.
We have a rinse and repeat of the Vitality game where, ignoring the fact that Roccat got ahead, they just get to it, they build a late game comp, and that you guys, with your struggles right now, can't close a game, and you just end up against a Vlad and Aurelia in a late game team fight. And even if they were doing nothing up until that point, they just they roll over the top of you. Now that said, since we're different, Odo, you know what this means. You've been here before.
It's a bet.
It's a bet. Okay, so we did dog costumes last time. I'd feel bad now. What do you think we should bet this time?
Oh, you don't have one already?
I don't have one.
No, Deficio's gone, and it's
Deficio's gone, and it's instantly disaster. Do you have any ideas off the top of your head?
The loser has to learn how to do a backflip.
That's so hard.
That you can't. I mean,
that's also not like.
I feel like it's just hard because you don't know how to do it. Man, Tyler wanted the backflip.
Well, how about just a cartwheel? A good cartwheel.
Cartwheel? Okay, I feel like that's harder than a backflip.
No, it's not. You won't like. It's definitely not.
You have to spin sideways instead of like.
No, the backflip.
No,
you
it's
like,
much easier.
But it's like, you know,
this. How do you do it on gymnastics? So you have to. Okay.
No, because I think I used to do gymnastics actually and dance, and like the backflip I think is much harder to learn because it's also about being afraid to fall back, and then you have to pressure legs up. I think cartwheel is easier because you can do a crappy cartwheel. If you do a crappy backflip, you break your back.
But backflip is more impressive. Like cartwheel is kind of lame.
This isn't cartwheel. But it's much more safer. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to up the ante here.
Oh.
Okay.
I'd like for you, if I'm wrong, I will come on the LCS show or filmed off the LCS show and be put on the LCS show. I will do the cheerleader pom-poms and I will make up a Splyce cheer. But if you lose, you have to make up a EUphoria cheer, or we'll make it up for you, and you have to get EUphoria colored pom-poms, ending with a cartwheel.
With the cartwheel.
Wow.
So pom-poms, cheer, cartwheel.
But yours, I wasn't doing a cartwheel.
Yeah, you're not.
No, I'll do a cartwheel too. Cartwheel for either of us. The bet is basically loser has to cheer. We doesn't even have to Splyce cheer. I'll cheer for Odoamne.
For tanks.
For tanks. Whatever you want, dude. You lay it down.
You just need like some green pom-poms and like
green pom-poms.
Like
Let's go tanks.
Army
cartwheel.
I'll coach
is that sufficiently embarrassing? That's the question.
Yeah,
because the key here is embarrassment.
Is it?
I know you think that. Like, he thinks cartwheels are.
I'm not saying you have to successfully cartwheel.
No,
I'm saying you have to attempt in front of a large audience.
Cheer and you said cheerleader costume, right?
I didn't say cheerleader costume.
Yeah, I heard that. Did you?
No.
Do you want to? It's up to you.
I mean, we need to make it as embarrassing as possible because, like, if I win, I really want it to be embarrassing.
You can't like be wearing a skirt and doing a cartwheel, you guys.
You have to do tights. You just do like tights and a skirt.
Tights, and just like a top or something.
But you need like good makeup. Like girly pink.
I spit at that. So you're gonna put on girly pink?
Why did you say that?
What? No, I was just like laughing.
Okay, you know you're up in the stakes here. Okay, so are you down for this?
I mean, if we're gonna clown ourselves, then might as well go all the way now.
I love it.
Oh man.
Okay.
Okay, so we need like good makeup, like pink, red.
Oh no, we have fantastic makeup artists.
Okay.
We will get
some lipstick going.
Can I coach cartwheel?
You can definitely coach cartwheel. Okay.
Actually, why am I so
cartwheel?
happy?
Let me just clarify.
I don't know what's up with him. He's like, let's do this, and you're like, okay. And he's like, no, that's words. But also, let's do this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I need to brace myself.
Self-inflicted.
Cheerleader outfit.
Makeup.
Cheers with pom-poms. Full makeup. Full cheerleader outfit.
This feels like 7 different bets.
And a cartwheel.
Yeah.
All in one.
But that's so good, no?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is fine. But then all the NA people are gonna be like, oh my God, EU has so weird humor. Herder.
I mean, Kobe wear a dress. Sneaky does cosplay all the time. I think
Very
we're fine.
impressive.
I think we're fine. People can be uncomfortable.
I'm not even gonna say anything about those cosplays.
Rocket versus Splyce.
Yeah.
Splyce wins. I'm a cheerleader.
You
I do a cartwheel.
lose.
Actually, will we do a cartwheel with the skirt on?
You're gonna wear tights. We're gonna wear tights.
Yeah. But like the skirt is gonna go upside down. It's gonna be
which is why you're gonna wear tights.
Yeah.
It's not a kilt, dude. We're not.
No.
What, are we gonna have pom-poms in our hands while we do the cartwheel?
I think you put them down to do the cartwheel. We can figure out the logistics.
I mean,
later.
we can have them with like.
We'll figure it out. It's good. Yeah.
I mean, that's fine.
Rocket versus Splyce Saturday.
Oh, this is gonna be awful.
This is gonna be terrible.
For you.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, you think I'm gonna be dressed up like a cheerleader? I mean, you've already been a dog. Are you gonna be a cheerleader?
Man, you were so lucky with that one. Like, imagine going against me and the Fisho and actually winning.
That's true.
It was good too, because that was the week that Soaz broke his hand. So Soaz wouldn't have been able. I would have felt really bad if we had to go to like Soaz's house with a dog costume, be like, hey.
But he could have been like Wimpy, you know?
No, I think a cartwheel.
So I know you're not playing playoffs, but here's this dog costume. Can you put this on?
We do have to be careful with the cartwheel, now that you say it, because it could be, everything could be intense. Everything that's intense physically, I'm always careful for the players.
I will promise, we might have to find mats or something.
Yeah.
What I will promise, 100%, assuming that we get everybody on board, is cheerleader outfit, cheerleader makeup, and cheer, with cartwheel as the bonus.
Yeah,
I can definitely do a cartwheel. You is pending safety, because obviously if you hurt yourself.
Yeah, pending safety, I think.
Because I'll agree to that, because that's fair. Because if I hurt my wrist, no one cares. If you hurt your wrist, well.
I'll do it for him if
you don't have a Bwipo right now, so there's no backup Odoamne for Splyce.
I mean, I can learn to do a backflip. I can break my legs. Or my neck.
Break your neck, yeah.
Whatever you do in your free time is your own business. We didn't encourage you to do it.
It feels like he secretly knows how to do a backflip.
No, I don't. I just really want to learn how to.
I want to show you guys.
I was trying to get both of them.
Okay, so that's our bet. We have the I'm just going to call it the cheerleader bet for short. The specifics we'll find later. The last thing we have to do today is Twitter questions. We already answered one from Cultured Lamnid. I do want to go with a few more, starting with you, Sjokz. You had some intense questions.
Yeah, people get fired up.
Yeah, so this is
good.
This is one from
It's good.
at Duncan Watson at Duncan
It's gonna be Duncan Shields,
Watson,
like holy
GE. Foreign asks.
Whoa. Yeah.
Fries with ketchup, mayo, or mixed?
What?
Yeah, these.
Okay, we're gonna get a hard-hitting question. Fries with ketchup, mayo, or mixed? Well, I love mayo. Some people may know this. I just love mayo. Belgians love mayo in general, but fries with mayo.
Eat mayo from a jar or something?
Yeah, I used to. That one, we weren't getting paid that well yet, so I was just like eating mayo from the jar for dinner. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god.
We were never on mayo salaries.
This is like 5 years ago when it was just resting on my table, and I just really like mayo. However, we call it cocktail sauce, which is ketchup and mayo mixed with anything that has mayo. I'll have it.
Odo, your preference? Fries, ketchup, mayo, mix, mustard? You want to get weird?
Just ketchup.
Just ketchup?
I'm not a big fan of mayo. I did try cocktail sauce once, and it wasn't too bad, but I'm going to stick with comfort and go ketchup.
I used to actually hate mayo until I came to Belgium in 2015 Worlds, and now I eat mayo with all of my fries.
Nice.
From a jar?
Sometimes mixed, never from a jar.
Make it yourself.
I've dipped it in a jar before, when it was at the end of the jar, and I was just, gotta get it with the fry.
And then like all the mayo was like all the way up to your.
Well, no, that's why I had the fry, right? So that it wouldn't have to get in there.
Oh, I thought it was like one of those big jars, like Sjokz said.
Yeah, I was just sticking my hand in Odo and just wiping it on the fries.
Just wipe it everywhere.
Covering myself.
I do have to say, like, I've been trying to pay attention to what I eat a bit, and mayo is actually the first thing that has to go because it's like fat.
That's against your identity as a Belgian.
It's really bad. So yeah, I'm trying to eat some hummus here or there, tzatziki, but I'm like, where's my mayo?
Isn't hummus also not super?
No, it's not great. It's also pretty fatty, but it's healthier. I think it's healthier.
Odo, we had one question. I want to pull the person who got it, but I just want to have you start on it. But people have been asking for an updated Dog Champ tier list. Now, I don't want to go into the whole thing, but I do want to know where Mundo rates on the Dog Champ tier list. Where do you see him?
Wait, how did we do it? Was S tier like the best,
the
biggest dog, or the worst dog?
So like the one that you would hate, like only was a tank, had no fun in lane, literally sat there and waited for team fights.
Okay. Well, Mundo's kind of fun, so I'll put him towards the bottom. Like the biggest dog is still Maokai, obviously. Like he's never gonna be not the biggest dog. So I guess the biggest dog is still Maokai,
but Mundo is the one that I want to know because he's the new tank.
Yeah.
In the top lane. There's actually a lot of people who ask this question, by the way. Finding the exact dude is difficult.
I would say like S tier, biggest dog is Mundo. And then you have stuff like Cyan that's not really played. I guess, let's say B tier is Orn, because you can actually do stuff and he's not that useless. And I would say Mundo is like better than Orn right now. So he's probably like C tier. So he's like the least, the dog closest to the carry.
Okay, but why? But now I'm curious why, because you told me that in lane you just have to sit back and let Orn do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, but that's just the matchup against someone. But for example, if you play the dog champ Mundo against the carry, then you can win that matchup. So you can actually just, it's like, you know, the carries are the cats in the dog. Even though he's like a tiny dog that is just like Chihuahua and he's like, he's just gonna like go and chase the cats away.
Sound effect really made that. Thank you. I'm gonna give credit to this Twitter question from Klaus V. Reinhardt. I probably butchered your name. Apologies for that. At ElaxLol. A lot of people asked it though, so thank you for the quick update on the status of dog champions. Last question to round us out, Sjokz. This one was actually really interesting.
Dog ambassador here.
You are the dog ambassador. We appreciate you. We have a sapling. We have a picture of you in a dog costume. We will title you the dog ambassador whenever you're on the podcast now. Eric Edberg, at Edberg Eric, asked, which pro player do you want to interview that you haven't done with? No language barrier between you and the pro player. And I would like to extend this to even pro players that you have interviewed. If you could just erase a language barrier and interview someone, whatever language you're most comfortable with, like who would you want to sit down and have like that long, super deep dive interview
Well,
with?
no surprise to anyone, Faker probably, just because, I mean, I think I've interviewed a lot of people over the course of a couple of years, and Odo was just bringing this up that like I haven't interviewed that many EU LCS players in the last 2 years because I've been on the desk and we've had dedicated interviewers, and we had Laure coming in, and we do get to do PGL, but that's different.
Yeah,
I do miss the kind of one-on-one. You can just get a bit funny and loose, and like it's a chill little setting. You can yell for Wakanda at the end of it, so it's kind of, it's different. I miss it.
Come in and kiss players randomly.
Some free advertising, some free Twitter followers for Cassim.
But I do have to say that you know, it took a while for me to get comfortable with translated interviews because I think it is a totally different breed, and I think over the years it's worked better. But you do have to. People sometimes say, "Oh, your questions like they're like too simple and too standard and stuff like that." And I do often agree, but there's a lot that goes into it because you can't just go into an interview and ask like a 3-layered question that then has to be translated, and you use like you know, an idiom that's in English that has to get translated as you can do in English interviews. And obviously you're not as close with when there's a language barrier. In English you vibe, you know, and you see the players every week and it's different. So I think there's a lot that comes into play and that gets lost in international interviews. And I've been trying to, it's been an active goal of mine to have it be more funny, you know, and just have that, get that humor come through and let the players be more of themselves. But it is difficult with the language barrier, although it's been getting better. I think Faker is an example how through the years he's just gotten more comfortable in interviews as well. Like Korean and Chinese players in general have been more chill, LMS players as well, so we'll see. Maybe Faker's the easy answer. I would just love to sit down with any of these guys that I've interviewed a couple of times or a lot in Korean or in any other language and just, I don't know, just vibe, you know? Yeah. Would be awesome. Maybe one day. Maybe one day.
If Sjokz is interviewing Faker, and you can ask, no hold barred, ask any question to Faker you want, what would you ask, Odo?
If he wants to 1v1 on Ramos.
Okay.
No, but on a serious note, I mean, I don't know. I don't really look up to him that much. I mean, he's insane, but I mean, that's just him at this point, so he's nothing really like...
I mean, it's normalized.
Everyone got so used to him being insane that it's just kind of normal nowadays.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it wasn't even like he's insane. I just want to know how he feels about playing Tarek, like what's going on in the background of this
that's
team.
A good one.
Like, what the hell is going on with SKT?
Yeah, how does it feel to play Tarek? That's a good question.
Exactly.
That's the ultimate dog champ right there, dude.
True.
We're going to have to make a new tier list for Funnel Comp specifically.
You know, I thought you can't be a bigger dog than Maokai, but if you have to play support for your mid laner or for your jungler, then you are the biggest dog.
Especially now, if you're Faker.
To be fair, after years on H2K, Jankos finally knows how you feel being stuck on Braum.
Yeah, did you see after 3 games he's already complaining?
I love how he was like, I hate it, but it's great that people.
But the game is great and I love it. I really don't change anything, but funneling sucks. Please, God, save me now.
Yeah. I mean, if you just keep queuing in a different direction than you should, I mean,
maybe.
It's to me too.
We'll take you off the Braum.
All right, that's why it's easy for him. He can just auto-attack and that's it.
Yeah, that's all he has to do. Occasionally alt, put an E up every once in a while. Sometimes the wrong way. Those are my favorite.
Actually, it was really impressive that in the game against G2, I managed to hit 4-man or Nultu when he was playing Braum. So that's really a testament to his skill.
He's helping out his former teammate.
Yeah, like he put the shield up after I ulted. So it was really impressive.
All right, so this is kind of the end for us. Odo, I do want to ask, is there anything that you want to say to the fans of Splyce, to the fans of Odo? Reassure them that you're not going to dress up like a cheerleader next week after a loss to Rocket.
Oh man, I mean, even if I dress up as a cheerleader, I mean, clowning around for some fun, it's still, they're going to love it. So regardless, it's going to be a good bet. And yeah, hopefully we're going to go 2-0 this week and go to Rift Rivals and just not really like smash it, but just put up a good performance and, you know, have a good showing. Like, I don't really, it's not good to say that we're just gonna go there and win, you know, but even if we don't win, I just want to be realistic and I just want to like have a good showing and just look better as a team and pick up wins against an A. And, you know, if we win the whole thing, then props to us.
Yeah. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I hope you win the whole thing. I hope someone in Europe wins the whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't care who. If I'm honest,
really,
someone.
Really.
Just someone needs to win the whole thing. All right, well, thank you, Odo, for coming on. Thank you, Sjokz, for joining me in guest/co-host status. Much love. This has been episode 3 of season 2 of the EUphoria podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.